You're watching Check Your Potential. It's your host, Sky, and I am here with musician, multi-platinum producer, and author from the Bronx, New York, Amadeus. What's going on?
So great to see you. So great to be back.
Yes.
Proud of everything you've been doing.
Thank you.
You know
I appreciate
what
that. I feel like this is like a part 2 to our interview that we did a couple years
Absolutely,
ago.
which was monumental, by the way. You were amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And you were busy then, and you are twice as busy now.
Yes.
Nothing has slowed down for you. How does that feel, just to be just running and gunning?
Right. It feels good. As we talked off air, the pandemic was a lot to everyone.
Yeah.
And it was an opportunity where, at first I looked at it as an opportunity to sit down somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But then it got too long, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, all right, I want to perform again. I want to get on stage. I want to be around my friends, my family, my loved ones, because we were all separated. We were all home. So, like I said, at first it was kind of cool. And then when it turned into a few months and then a year and then like almost 2 years and then kind of like almost 3, you're like, all right. But I think it was a moment where a lot of us gained clarity, a moment for us to really focus on what's most important. I think it was a moment for us to appreciate what we have, whom we have, right? Because I'm gonna be a buck. I remember complaining about like going to Vegas every other weekend, being in the air for 5 hours, jet lag and all of those different things. And then when you don't have those things, and you sitting home wishing and praying that I was on a plane for 5 hours and traveling somewhere and doing what I love and getting paid so that I can eat and provide for my family, it's a real thing, So to be back here with you again is a blessing. Always amazing conversation.
Thank you.
When we link.
Yes, I love talking to you all the time.
Thank you. So we're here.
So I want to start a little bit from the beginning.
Okay.
Because a lot of people know you, but they don't know how you got your start as a drummer. So talk to me about just the beginning as a young Amadeus getting your start as a drummer.
A lot of noise in the house. I'd say that both of my parents were very musical, not performers or musicians, but just love music. So every weekend, different music, Africa Bambaataa, Furious 5, the Bee Gees, everything, man. The OJs, Michael Jackson. For me, it was hip hop, so that was the challenge for me growing up, trying to convince them that what I felt was what hip hop to me was dope, because, it was different ages, different eras. So they kind of looked at what I loved and frowned upon it. So I had to kind of convince them. But going to school, we were forced to learn a musical instrument. Mine was drums. They didn't know that I was going to be a musician. Didn't know that that's the path that I was going to go down. I know I loved music and always loved beats when I listened to music. But when I picked up those drumsticks for the first time, I would say first time in school, preparing to learn it, because, I had drumsticks in my hand as like a little baby, But in school, 4th grade, that's kind of when the start happened. Me being in school and around my classmates and playing the beat patterns that my teacher was playing. I'm gonna be a buck. We always keep it real when we chat. The girls in my class was kind of hyped up because I was playing the drums.
Right.
And I think that was like, oh, so y'all like when I do that?
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
We're gonna do that.
Right.
And then, the more I did it, I fell in love with it. And that's kind of how I got to start.
Now, what is one of the things that you love about producing, and how do you feel like being from the Bronx kind of inspired your creativity?
Love that question. I think the fact that when you start out creating music, especially a beat, like nothing exists, like nothing is there, right? And then when you fast forward and you think about your favorite song or a record that, people that are tuned in and like, oh, I love this song, I love that song. It's like that song started out with the beat. You know what I mean? Before there was any melody, before there was any lyric, or any idea for the song, the beat was there first, right? So to be able to create something out of nothing, I think is pretty dope and pretty impressive when you think about it, right? And it's actually something that someone likes enough to say, hey, I want to write a song to this. So I think that part is fun. Sorry, it's been. And I think the part of, once it's done, just seeing the reaction of an artist, seeing how they respond to the track that you've created, and then write that song, and then it's out to the masses and to the world, and seeing millions and millions of people appreciate that record, and so it's like different parts of it that I kind of love, that kind of brings it all together.
That brings that process together. And segueing to working with different artists, how did you navigate in connecting with artists to produce for them early on in your career? Like, how did you connect those dots?
Hustle, man. I was a hustler, right? So I was always big on research. Back then we had cassette tapes and CDs. on the back of the cassette tape on the CDs, you know, you would see the A&Rs, you would see the managers, you see the labels. You know, sometimes the email address would be there. Sometimes the email address would be in the booklet. And I would just pull that email.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, you know, randomly, like, email them, introduce myself. Hey, I got music. And I sent you. Back then, it wasn't like, you know, social media and the internet wasn't strong.
Right.
So I had to, like, physically send them a beat tape or a CD.
Yeah. You had to do the hard work.
Absolutely, you know. So that was the hustler in me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I got a response. Of course, sometimes I didn't. But that never discouraged me. I just kept at it. And, you know, people would respond. And then little by little, you know, I would kind of start getting in people's ears. You know, young kid named Amadeus. Beats, you know, back then they would say, his beats is really hard. Like, the drums is really crazy. And me being a drummer, that kind of was the upper hand for me. Like, well, not them drums going knock, you know. So that was the thing. And that's kind of how I got moving back in the day. So fast forward to where we are now in music with social media and the internet. You know, everything is at your fingertips. So if I was able to execute back then, this makes life for me a million times easier.
Right.
Which is a gift and a curse.
Right.
You know, because then that's why everything is so crowded and oversaturated because everybody named mama feel like they can do it. Back in the day, when I said I want to be a producer, it was no one in probably my whole high school that wanted to do that. Rapping, but
production,
now
there were a handful of people that could actually produce a good beat.
Yeah. Like I mean, my competition were my heroes. So the people that I was up against was the Swiss Beats, the Timbaland, the Kanye's, the Just Blazes, right? So like that was who I was going against to make it on these albums. You know what I'm saying? So like you said, like today, everybody that got a computer is like, I'm making beats, I'm producing, I'm sitting there looking like,
it's not that easy, buddy.
Nah. Nah.
I mean, because I can go down the list of artists you produce for. You produce for J-Lo, Chris Brown, Justin Bieber, 50 Cent, Talib Kweli, Keisha Cole. I mean, I can keep going.
It's crazy.
And you have Platinum Boy Music Production. Now, is there anyone on your radar right now that you say, or you look at and you say, you know what, I want to produce for that person?
Got a nice little list, man. And, you know, some of the OGs are still there. Like I haven't did a record with Jay-Z. I still would love to do that. I wish Nipsey Hussle was still here. Rest in peace, Nipsey. That would have been amazing to see. Ross, I've always been a real big Rick Ross fan. Usher. So those are some of the, you know, the artists that I've come up with. For the newer, I like what Lil Baby is doing. From a female standpoint, is her name Coyle Ray? I might say her name wrong. She's making dope records, man. She's making real dope records. Lotto is doing her thing. I'm really a big Megan Thee Stallion fan as well. So hopefully, you know, when that whole thing resolves, she gets back to doing what she loves and putting great music back out there again. So for me, it's more so of just people that are passionate about what they do, right? Because I don't want the audience to think, oh, I only work with signed artists or artists that are already successful. Like there are, you know, some up and coming artists that are dope, that are doing their thing creatively, but then understand the music business side of things. Because I think that's what kind of turns me off, where it's not a hobby. Like it's not a hobby. It's just not something that we're all doing for fun. Back then, when I was younger, 25 years ago, but when you have a family and this is how you eat and provide for yourself and your family, like this ain't a game. And I think a lot of artists out there approach producers of my level, humbly speaking, and not have their ish together. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, I'm gonna give you points. So I'm like, who you talking to, bro? Like, talking to me?
Right.
I put way too much work, much work in for you to be thinking you're gonna get a free beat, you're gonna add more publishing, or you're gonna give me more royalties. Like if whatever record you're gonna put out is gonna sell 1 billion copies. Like you know how much how much records, not records to sell, but like how much streams, because that's where we are today.
I know.
How much streams you would have to get for us to even think about getting a check?
It's different.
So it's like, come correct, man. I work with anybody as if you come correct. Passion, and make sure you got that bread. You can't walk into Mercedes-Benz. You can't even walk into McDonald's.
At all.
And walk out with a meal in your hand and they give it to you for free. You're going to pay $3, you're going to pay $5, you're going to pay $10. Whatever you're going to pay, you're going to pay. Okay. So when you come over here for this production, have that money right.
You have to have that money. Okay, guys. We have more with Amadeus on the way. You're watching Check Your Potential. Stay tuned for more.